Good evening, everyone. Again, I'm Edie Sun, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be able to moderate this debate between our candidates for the 3rd Congressional District for Colorado. So I'd like to start by welcoming Democratic candidate Adam Firsch and Republican candidate Jeff Hurd to the stage. And our panelists may now take your seats. All right, so let's start with some of the housekeeping, the most important part of which is a big thank you to both of our candidates for participating in tonight's debate and for your willingness to serve our state in the U.S. House of Representatives. And before we begin, we'd like to go over some of the ground rules. First, candidates should focus on ideas and not personalities. Candidates should be courteous and should not make inflammatory statements. Disrespectful or attacking speech or profane language will not be tolerated. Candidates may not display a prop of any kind. They must strictly adhere to the time limits of each section of the debate, and I reserve the right to cut off a candidate who exceeds the time limit or to redirect a candidate if their remarks are not pertinent to the elected office. Do you both agree to these rules?
I do.
Thank you very much.
Well, that sounds like a
You may
wedding.
now kiss
I do,
the bride.
Adam.
And additionally, we ask that all audience members exhibit professional decorum during these debates. Limited applause is allowed, but unruly outbursts or disruptions are prohibited. And the debate moderator may penalize a candidate's time if their supporters are unable to maintain decorum. Audience members should also be aware that these debates are being filmed and live streamed for public viewing. Now, with that, we'll begin with our opening remarks. A coin toss was conducted backstage, and candidate Firsch has chosen to begin opening remarks. Adam, you have 3 minutes for your opening remarks.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm honored to be back for another Club20 debate. I want to thank Brittany and Andrea for the dedication, and a huge thanks to Michael and the entire board for the commitment and stewardship for Club20 in the Western Slope. Since attending my first Club20 meeting in Rangeley in the summer of 2022, I'm pretty confident I haven't missed a single meeting in over those 2 years. I also want to thank President Marshall and CMU team for their guidance and courage in an age when academia lacks strong leadership. To the moderators and panelists for their commitment to supporting our democracy through debate, and to thank you, Jeff, and your family as well. Most importantly, to my family, Katie, Felix, and Quintessa. Didn't have to look down for that one. I love you and could not be up here without you, literally. My name is Adam Firsch. I'm a Western Slope dad, husband, and small business owner. I'm proud to have served my community in a variety of leadership roles, including what I've called elected community service over the years. I'm proud of my own rural roots. I was born in Williston, North Dakota, and spent the first 5 years in northeastern Montana on Fort Peck Indian Reservation, where my dad spent many years working for the Indian Health Service. On my mom's side, her great-grandparents came over from Europe, and my cousin now runs the 4th generation feed store grain elevator, where I worked during summers growing up. I'm here tonight because rural Colorado has been left behind, ignored. Over the past 4 years, I've driven almost 70,000 miles through CD3. I've toured well over 100 small businesses, nonprofits, healthcare centers, and attended numerous water and mining conferences, cattlemen, and Farm Bureau meetings. The number one thing I hear, regardless of partisanship, age, or background, is that everyone feels forgotten, misunderstood, and taken advantage of by Denver and DC. We are tired of big city people telling us how to live, how to work, and how to play. We're tired of national partisan politics, of the yelling, the screaming, and the angertainment industry that seeps into our lives. It's destructive to our families and communities and distracts from the important issues that we all have in common. After being a father and a husband and a small business owner, Coloradoan and a proud American, I just don't have any room for partisan politics and bickering. Unlike my opponent, I'm not beholden to corporate PAC money or extreme politicians that have funded and supported his campaign, cozying up or hosting fundraisers with out-of-state politicians, and I certainly won't be taking political or financial support from Denver lobbyists trying to take water out of the San Luis Valley. I am focused on place-based policies and solutions, not party politics, that I practice every day. When I oppose burdensome regulations by the Biden administration or Denver that would undermine our important domestic energy or agricultural industries, I'm not teaming up with Republicans. I'm advocating for what is right for CD3 in our country. When I'm
Time. Sorry.
It's okay.
Forgive me. And now to candidate Hurd. You have 3 minutes for your opening remarks.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Club 20, and congratulations on your 71st anniversary. I remember helping you celebrate your 50th in 2003. 20 years later, Club 20 looks great. I, on the other hand, look 20 years older and am 20 years fatter. Seriously, though, thank you for being the voice for Western Colorado. Today, there are two Colorados. One is on the Front Range. It imports jobs, money, and opportunity. The other is in rural Colorado. There, our greatest export are our kids. Many grow up, leave, and don't come back. I'm running to create opportunities so that families in rural Colorado can stay and thrive. This is personal for me. I grew up in Western Colorado, graduated from Grand Junction High School, learned about public service from my dad, who led the Marillac Clinic, making sure families had health care. I've been chairman of the Grand Junction Area Chamber, taught here at CMU, and helped low-income rural Coloradans get free legal help. My wife Barbara and I are raising 5 kids here. I want to create a better future for them and for the kids and families in Craig, Cortez, La Junta, and everywhere between. As a small business owner and attorney, I've represented school districts, governments, rural broadband, and electric cooperatives. I know rural Colorado. We have challenges, but also opportunities. Ask those I work with, and they will tell you I'm serious, optimistic, hardworking, and I solve problems. That's what I'll bring with me to Congress on the key issues: securing our border, economy and energy, and protecting our water and agriculture. My opponent, an Aspen Democrat, says he's moderate. But look at what he does. He supported a liberal energy agenda on the Aspen City Council. He says he doesn't take corporate donations, but has Democratic PACs funneling him corporate money. He says he wants a serious campaign, but spends millions saying, I won't protect our water, while knowing that's not true. He says he wants to stop the political circus, but spent hundreds of thousands interfering in the Republican primary to beat me. So when my opponent speaks tonight, remember, what he says and what he would actually do are different things. I do what I say, which is boring. A reporter once said that I'm as exciting as a bread sandwich. That's okay. Rural Colorado doesn't need excitement. It needs someone who will fight for it. Not loud, but smart. That's me. I look forward to tonight's debate. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff. We're very fortunate tonight to be joined by the 3 panelists who will be asking questions of our candidates. And I'd like to start by introducing them before I explain how the Q&A portion is going to work. First, in the middle here, we have Sarah Carlisle, Senior External Affairs Advisor for Tri-State Generation and Transmission. Then to her left and your right, getting a little turned around here, we have Kyle Patton, who's the president of the Political Science Club here at Mesa. And then finally here, we have Brandon Boehner, Associate Director of County and Member Development for the Colorado Farm Bureau. Please join me in thanking our panelists for what they are about to do. Each candidate will be asked to respond to 6 questions that have been submitted by Club 20 members and our partners. Each candidate will have 1.5 minutes to respond to each question, The candidate who goes first on each question will also have an opportunity to offer a 60-second rebuttal to the other candidate's response. The candidate who went first in opening remarks will offer the first response to the first question. So that means, Candidate Firsch, you will go first, and the first question comes from Sarah.
Can you hear me? Wonderful. As the demand for cleaner energy resources increases, nuclear energy presents a promising option due to its low emissions. However, the district also has significant mineral resources necessary for energy production. Effective policies will be crucial in ensuring that energy development meets both economic and environmental goals set by the state and federal government, while also fostering a sustainable future. Considering the growing interest in nuclear energy as a clean and sustainable power source, how do you envision its role in the district's energy portfolio and existing infrastructure?
Thanks for the question. A great conversation I have a lot as I'm driving around Colorado, especially up in Northwest. I'm a big believer in truly all of the above. I've given that talk in Pueblo for half an hour about how important it is, as well as the Colorado National Mining Association meeting here down the hall at the University Ballroom about how important all of the above is, especially that we need to have nuclear be on the table. It's really, really hard for anyone to look me straight in the face and talk about decarbonizing our country's energy sources without nuclear power being part of that conversation. I'm very excited, like a lot of people in Colorado, especially up in Northwest Colorado, to watch what's happening with TerraPower that just broke ground for next generation small modular nuclear. And I think it's really important to bring it down here to Colorado, hopefully, especially up in Craig, where I know a vast majority of the people that I talk to a lot when I'm up there every 7 or 8 weeks want to see that happen. So I'm really excited about that. I think it's just crazy that this United States is trying to shut down the cleanest, most reliable, and most responsible energy sources in the entire world. When we're shutting down power and energy in Colorado, we're not getting solar power from Sweden. We're asking Iran and Venezuela and China to bail us out. And we need to figure out how to have a strong industrial policy, including a really strong energy policy in CD3.
Candidate Hurd, you have 1.5 minutes to respond to the question. Would you like to have it read again?
I think I remember it. It's nuclear energy renewables, yes. First, thank you very much, Sarah, for that question. Actually, I have a personal connection to Tri-State. The moment that I knew I wanted to run, I was up at the Craig Power Station meeting with power plant operators and with miners, and they are about ready to lose their jobs because of bad Democratic energy policies. Those are good jobs that they're also losing that help support strong families and strong communities. In Congress, I am going to fight for those energy families. They are indeed the backbone of rural Colorado. If you care about the environment, if you care about our economy and national security, then you ought to support Colorado energy, coal, oil, gas, and yes, nuclear, as well as renewables. Now, Adam's position is all of the above. My position is best of the above. We need to pick the best resources that will provide reliable resource adequacy for our growing electric demand, and nuclear is key to that. One thing that I would mention about my opponent is when it comes to energy, pay attention not to what he says, but to what he does. In 2016, the Aspen City Council voted to levy a fee on fossil fuels. For years, he was also vice chair of an Aspen environmental nonprofit pushing for carbon-free, net zero energy focused on environmental justice. He had a chance when he was on Aspen City Council to stand up for Colorado energy families, but didn't. When I'm in Congress, I will. Thank you.
Candidate Firsch, you now have 60 seconds for a rebuttal.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. And again, it's great to have these conversations because ag, ranching, farming, and domestic energy production, I believe, are the lifeblood of Western Colorado for sure, in addition to some other industries that are coming on board. And I will continue, as I've said on the record many, many times, going to a lot of different conferences where only one of us showed up, even though a lot of us were invited, to make it very, very clear how important it is to push back against the consumer aspect. We have a production economy in western and southern Colorado, and it's really important that we continue to push the cleanest, most reliable energy sources of truly all of the above. We can get into solar, there's not going to be a lot of wind, but nuclear needs to be part of that conversation. And it's really crazy that natural gas, including the White House's recent attempt to try to ban exports, we are not, as I said before, we're not getting our allies to take into consideration the consequences of switching to renewable just like that. We need to make sure that our allies have access to our energy sources.
Kyle has the next question.
Thank you, guys. The next question is, as the population in the Colorado River Basin keeps increasing, the demand for water is also rising. The Colorado River must meet the needs of municipalities, agriculture, tribal communities, and recreational activities while still leaving enough water to sustain local wildlife. This is a challenging situation without straightforward solutions. What is the next step for Colorado in the Big River discussion, and how do you plan to support the many needs of the river while protecting one of our state's most valuable assets?
Great question, Kyle. Super important. I grew up here in Mesa County, surrounded by the farmers and ranchers who feed our families and provide food security for the world. Farmers and ranchers are economic engines. They contribute billions to our economy, but they are also the heart and soul of our district, and I will fight for them. Water is their lifeblood. We have to keep our water here in the 3rd Congressional District, period. I will oppose any efforts to export our water to the Front Range or to out of state. I've been clear on that on the record for many months. I'm proud to have the support of local ranchers like Janie and Howard Van Winkle, and farmers and ranchers like Bob and Gail Mativi and Darius Allen in the San Luis Valley. I'm also happy to have the support of the only 2 state legislators who themselves own a water right, Representative Mark Catlin in Montrose and Senator Cleve Simpson from the San Luis Valley. They know that in Congress, I'm going to fight against any water export project. When it comes to the Colorado River Compact, we need to make sure that we uphold that. It is a critical document. We also need to lean on California, Arizona, and Nevada to live within their water budgets. They are currently using more than their allocation under that compact. We also need to develop more high-altitude storage, distributed storage here in the state, and we need to get rid of the invasive species that are sucking up so much of our water. Now, the Biden and Harris administration take a different view. They have a Bureau of Reclamation that is out of control. We need to rein that in, and I will do that when I'm in Congress. Thank you.
Candidate Firsch.
Kyle, thanks for your question and your own leadership. Yeah, listen, it is the lifeblood of where we are, ranching, farming, ag, recreation, biodiversity. In addition to the ARC and the Rio Grande, obviously, the Colorado is the big daddy, especially on the western slope, and it's really important to make sure that we are not solving the Colorado River Compact issues of the 7 states and 30 tribes on the back of Colorado. And really, just as importantly, we want to make sure that Colorado does not solve its water issues on the back of the western slope, which seems to come up a lot. And for someone who's gone to the last 3 water congresses, and had a chance to speak at the last one and give a presentation that was very well received, it's just really, really important to make sure that hopefully it does not become a political conversation about water and legislative. We need to make sure that we empower Becky Mitchell and the rest of the team of the Colorado water experts to empower them to work with the other 6 state leaders to make sure that Colorado, which has the best team and the best case, Colorado is the only state in the lower 48 that does not have any water coming into it. And unlike those lower basin states of Colorado, Arizona, and Nevada, we don't have 2 huge big bathtubs. And as Jeff said, we need to make sure that we try to figure out how to shore up, number 1, our healthy forests, because when we have healthy forests, we have a much better watershed. We have to figure out how to get as much water into our existing storage as possible.
Time. Thank you. And Candidate Hurd, you have 60 seconds for a rebuttal.
Thanks, Edie. I too spoke at the Colorado Water Conservation Board meeting and enjoyed it. It's wonderful to meet the so-called water dogs of Colorado. And the message I told them was they are the experts when it comes to water. And when it comes to water decisions, I will never pretend to know everything. I think that sort of humility is good, but I will rely on the folks that live and work and know water to help make water decisions. This is a critical issue here, and it's important that we have leadership. We are outnumbered by California, Arizona, and Nevada. It doesn't take a math expert or a math major to figure out that they have way more representation in Congress than we do here in Colorado. That's why it's critical that we have somebody that's representing us who's fierce, who's smart, who knows the law, or who's willing to learn it, and who can effectively advocate for our state and particularly our district. Because if we don't, we are going to have that water taken from us by states simply because they have more representation. Thank you.
Thank you. Our third question comes from Brandon.
Thank you both for being here. Colorado's 3rd district includes vast expanses of public lands that are vital for outdoor recreation activities which significantly contribute to local economies. However, these lands are also crucial for agricultural activities and energy extraction. As competing interests can lead to conflicts, effective management and policy making are essential to ensure that all stakeholders can benefit while protecting the natural environment for future generations. How do you propose to balance these competing interests, and which stakeholders will play a key role in coming up with common sense-driven solutions?
Candidate Firsch.
Brandon, thank you, and thank you for your work at the Farm Bureau. It's been a great place to go learn and confirm, going to the statewide Farm Bureau meetings, as well as showing up even in Moffat County, the county ones, to really get the boots on the ground conversations and listening and learning about it. Listen, we live in the most beautiful district in the entire country, and everyone, no matter where you are across the political spectrum or age or how long you've been out here, everyone has some type of connection to our public lands. And we need to make sure to push back against the Denver and DC people that are trying to set the rules of how we want to live, how we want to work, and how we want to play. As a family that's had a 4th generation cattle rancher, now a feed store grain elevator, I'm fully aware of driving around or almost 70,000 miles, how important it is to make sure. Let's focus on common goals. We all want to make sure that we have an ample opportunity to graze and still make sure that agriculture is respected. Colorado's lost over 30% of its agricultural lands in the past 20 or 30 years. We need to make sure that not just for a legacy standpoint, but from an economic driver in our state, and certainly in Western Colorado, we also need to make sure that we have multi-use recreation opportunities, motorized and unmotorized as well. And we need to make sure, as I said before, that there's appropriate places to make sure that we have a strong domestic, reliable, and responsible energy. We can do all of the above in energy. We can do all of the above in making sure that our public lands are balanced.
And Candidate Hurd.
Thanks, Brandon. That's a great question. 70% of the 3rd Congressional District are actually public lands. So this is a really important issue. You asked specifically about what stakeholders should be involved. The key ones are local communities. We don't always have that. Local communities need a say in public land management. Right now, the BLM has too much control, and they're making bad decisions for communities, not just in Western Colorado, but in Southern Colorado as well. The FLPMA Act, the Federal Land Management Policy Act of 1976, is also a critical document, a critical law that talks about multiple use. We need to make sure that we have a balanced approach that doesn't lock off federal land. I'm not talking about just support for ag and energy, which are key, but also outdoor recreation and tourism as well. Those are critical. One other thing that I would say we need to have at the table that matters to the folks here at Club 20 is PILT reform, payments in lieu of taxes. I talked to Michael, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting how to say, Michael, Hinsdale County, wonderful conversation about the PILT formula in Hinsdale County. That is meant to compensate local governments and county governments for the lack of tax revenue from federal lands. Rural counties, like Hinsdale, are severely undercompensated for the services that they provide on federal lands, and it makes it extremely difficult for those communities to thrive economically. So we need to push hard to reform PILT and make sure that communities and counties like Hinsdale have what they need.
Candidate Firsch, your rebuttal.
Yeah, thank you. Jeff talked about a lot of good stuff, and it's true. The broader issue for me is, driving around so many miles, is that of the 64 counties in Colorado, I think about 50 of them are on the producing side, and a dozen mostly in the urban area down in Denver on the consuming side. And all of the producers I speak to, producing steel in Pueblo, ranchers and farmers, domestic energy, understands we need a consumer. There's a deep disconnect in Denver and in DC from the consumer mindset that you flip a light switch on and there's the power. You want some beef, you go to aisle 5, you turn on the tap and there's the water. And the biggest conversation is we have too many people on the consumer side driving all these conversations that have no idea what it's like to be a producer. Whether it's producing outdoor recreation equipment that's done here, whether it's energy, whether it's ranching or farming, this producer-consumer conversation is the overall threat that we need to fight back on for CD3.
And question number 4, we're back to Sarah.
Thank you. Given the current economic climate and rising inflation rates, what specific policies do you propose to help alleviate the financial burden on residents in Colorado's 3rd Congressional District? And how will you support local businesses and families struggling with increased cost of living?
Oh my goodness, I only have a minute and 30 seconds for that, Sarah. Holy moly. Okay. Inflation is a killer. That is absolutely true. I know we roll our eyes when we see how much the federal government spends and we hear those numbers, but here's the thing. You go to Chick-fil-A, nowadays you pay $50, or you fill up your grocery cart with barely nothing and you're spending $100. Why is that? Because we have too much spending. Our federal government is spending too much money. There is no such thing as a free meal. You are paying for it now when you go out to eat and when you fill up your grocery cart. In Congress, I'm going to work hard to be a part of a solution of fixing a broken Washington. We need to fight to get our spending under control. When it comes to spending, folks, frankly, we need to sober up. The interest on our national debt is now eclipsed our federal spending on our defense budget. That is an extremely dangerous situation. When it comes to small business, was that part of that question as well, Sarah? We need to make sure that we get cost of living, sorry.
Local businesses.
Local businesses, okay. I was chairman of the board of the Grand Junction Area Chamber of Commerce. Business is near and dear to my heart. I know that we need to do everything we can to make sure that small businesses succeed and thrive. We need to get rid of bad government regulation. Reasonable regulation, I'm in favor of that. But bad government regulation that overburdens, overtaxes, overregulates businesses, makes it hard for businesses to succeed and thrive, and we need to cut out those bad regulations.
Candidate Firsch.
Thank you, Sarah. It's the number one question I get after going and talking to so many different people. While inflation is down, the cost of living and prices are still super high. Both parties are guilty beyond belief of spending way too much money and running into a $35 trillion and growing debt. Our interest payments are surpassing our defense spending in our country. 2, the consolidation and corporatization based on a lot of corporate PAC money, which we're not taking, and we're the only one who's not taking corporate PAC money up here, is why we are starting to see increased pricing. The agricultural industry, as farmers know now compared to where they were 30, 40 years ago, they have a lot fewer options of which to sell their goods. In 1980, the average farmer was taking home about 30 cents of every dollar that was spent. It's now down to under 9 cents. We've gone from 30 cents in a generation to 9 cents it's ending up, and that is because we have industrial and corporate agricultural business that is killing the options for us to be able to sell in our ranchers and our farmers industry. We also need to figure out how to get through this, and what I would call the mitigation industrial complex and the rules and regulations. We need more supply. We need more supply of housing. We need more supply of health care. I spent a lot of time working on the affordable housing. Until a couple years ago, it was more of a resort community place. It's not just in Grand Junction. I'm hearing it in Cortez. I'm hearing it in Mancos. I'm hearing it.
Time.
I'll honor the time.
60-second rebuttal, please.
Great, thank you. Notice very carefully what my opponent said. He doesn't take corporate PAC money, but he takes corporate money, tens of thousands of dollars from PACs that are themselves funded by big corporations. He's also taken a check from the American Association for Justice PAC. Those are the trial lawyers. the Blue Hen PAC that's given him money, American Airlines, Toyota, the Motion Picture Association of America have all
Candidate
contributed
Hurd,
to that.
can we focus on the issues, please?
Yes, I was just responding to something that was made, which I think is critical because, Edie, his assertion is that I'm going to let corporate interest outweigh the needs of rural Colorado, and he's making something that is inaccurate and saying he doesn't take corporate money. So I'm just responding to that, which I think is completely appropriate. Saying that he doesn't get corporate money is like him saying he doesn't eat from Taco Bell because he orders it through a food delivery service. Just because Uber Eats delivers it doesn't change what's in the bag. Adam gets corporate money from other PACs. That's period. Thank you.
Kyle, I believe you have our next question.
Thank you. As competition for skilled workers intensifies, attracting and retaining talent is vital for the economic growth of Colorado's 3rd Congressional District. Ensuring that local communities can sustain a skilled workforce is crucial for both business and residents. What strategies do you propose to retain and attract talent in Colorado's 3rd Congressional District, particularly in key industries such as technology, healthcare, and education?
Candidate Firsch, I believe you're first on this one.
Okay, thanks, Kyle. There's a triple and quadruple whammy that is hitting employers. While 50% of the country works for a company with more than 500 people, I would bet you less than 1% of the people in CD3 work for such large companies. This is a small business community through and through no matter where you go. Housing, we need more supply. Childcare, it's really hard when you're paying $23 an hour for childcare if you're only making $20 at work. We need to figure out a way to have more childcare. Obviously housing, the demand for housing is not going to change. The Western Slope has been discovered over the past many years. We need to figure out how to cut the red tape and get a lot more supply of housing. I know Grand Junction's doing a pretty good job, but it's still a conversation that's happening. We have 13 or 14 colleges and universities. Obviously, CMU, Fort Collins, at Fort Lewis, and CSUP are some of our flagships. We need to make sure that those universities are run as President Marshall and the regents are running them here. We need to make sure that the jobs that are available in the district, and that's something that the community needs to figure out, are things that are provided by higher education. And for those that do not want to go on a traditional 4-year college degree or through regional college, there's lots of other opportunities to get involved in labor and go through apprentices programs, or whether they go off to the military and hopefully come back and become employers.
Time. Candidate Hurd.
I think Adam had a number of good points there that I would echo as well. I would say in Congress, I think it's critical that we support laws and push for laws that support a diverse economy, from ag to energy to healthcare to tech as well. Kyle, great question. We need to get rid of the government regulation and red tape that is killing small businesses. And I would say we need to make sure that we focus on small businesses as well. I'm actually proud to have the support of the NFIB, which represents small businesses throughout our country. And it's important that we stand with the small businesses of Main Street, not Wall Street. Democrats like President Biden, Vice President Harris, who've never run a business, by the way, don't appreciate how bad laws hurt small companies. I want to get rid of those bad laws. And I'm going to be somebody that gets businesses to invest in our communities and is going to work hard to do that by creating a positive regulatory environment. But also we need to give our small businesses confidence themselves to invest in our communities. We don't want in Western Colorado government handouts. People just want to work. And it's important and it's incumbent on us, not just federally, but also at the state and local level, to create a healthy business climate so that businesses can succeed and thrive and recruit talent, and create positive educational opportunities for students that live here and recruit the best talent to live here as well. Thank you.
Sixty-second rebuttal, please.
Yep. Thank you. Our hospitals and healthcare are the number 1 or 2 employer in all 27 counties in our entire district. In addition to being really well-paying jobs and making sure that there's a pipeline to make sure that they learn those skills from doctors to nurses to administration to nurses' assistants and physician assistants, we also need to figure out how to increase the supply of healthcare so people feel comfortable in starting businesses in the Western Slope, pushing back against the shrinking of healthcare supply in rural parts of our country, especially Colorado. Having a chance to visit over the last week, Rocky Mountain Steel in Olathe, they just turned it into an employee stock ownership program where the owner, who grew up in Grand Junction, was able to hand over the ownership through stock investing to a lot of the men and the women that are working in hourly wages. Felix and I just spent a tour down at the lumberyard in Montrose. It's the only lumberyard within 5 states of the country.
And our 6th and final question for this portion of the debate comes from Brandon.
In today's polarized political climate, collaboration across party lines is more important than ever, especially when it comes to addressing the unique challenges facing Colorado's 3rd Congressional District. From economic development and healthcare to environmental sustainability, or passing a farm bill, that's coming from me, sorry. Many pressing issues require bipartisan support to create effective solutions that benefit all constituents. What would you do?
Great question, Brandon. It is critical that we have bipartisan support if we're going to move rural Colorado forward. It would be foolish for anyone to say that bipartisanship is not necessary, particularly with issues like the Farm Bill. That is something that's critical. H-2A visa reform, making sure that our agricultural workers have the resources that they need, also, and the employees that they need to harvest the crops that we eat. When it comes to bipartisanship, also water is something that I think we can be united on. We may have some battles with Denver when they try to take water, the Front Range, outside of the 3rd Congressional District, but we can be united in coming together and making sure that our down basin cousins in the Colorado River Basin, who are using way in excess of the 7.5 million acre feet that they're allocated under the Colorado River Compact every year, that they're living within their compact obligations. That is absolutely something that we need to make sure that we are combined as a congressional delegation, as a state, and as upper basin states as well. I will tell you also, I know as a Republican running that I'm not going to be able to be successful in representing this district unless I'm able to work with our congressional delegation, absolutely, including every single one of the Democrats, but also state leadership. Our governor, our state legislature, all controlled by Democrats, all Democrats. I cannot be an effective legislator unless I can work with them, and that is something I will take very seriously and will do. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Hurd. Candidate Firsch.
Can you just repeat the question? I want to get the last part of it correct, Brandon.
So, I'll keep my commentary out of this one. In today's polarized political climate, collaboration across party lines is more important than ever, especially when it comes to addressing the unique challenges facing Colorado's 3rd Congressional District. From economic development and healthcare to environmental sustainability, many pressing issues require bipartisan support to create effective solutions that benefit all constituents.
Yep. Thank you. You know, my lifeblood is this. For 25 years, I've said, if there was a Get Stuff Done party, I'd be in the Get Stuff Done party, but that party's not doing very well right now, and our country's suffering for it. For 20 years, I was independent. I made it very clear when I get to Congress, I'm going to go join the Problem Solvers Caucus, which is made up of 30 Democrats and 30 Republicans, to sit down and work on bipartisan issues. I think it's really, really important that this Team Democrat, Team Republican is a broken system. As I've said before, and I'll say again, I'm on Team CD3, and I think that's something that's really, really important. There's a lot of hard things about running for Congress. The easy thing to do for me is just to stand up and say what I believe, whether I had some primaries or whether I'm in the general election. And everything I say at Club 20 or in Rangeley, I share in Durango or Telluride. And it's trying to focus on team common sense and breaking through the party process. Both parties have a lot to blame. There's not a monopoly on good ideas, and both parties have a lot of bad ones. And I've been very, very clear about pointing out ones when I think both parties, including the Democratic Party, has completely screwed up. I was the first person in the entire country running for Congress as a Democrat to ask for President Biden to step down and pass the torch. As I said, only in politics is stating the obvious so rare. And only in politics is standing up so rare as well.
Thank you, Candidate Firsch and Candidate Hurd. 60 seconds for rebuttal.
Thank you very much. I do believe that political and moral courage are critical, particularly in this time. I wanted to just touch on very briefly two other areas that I think are critical when it comes to Democrats and Republicans working together. Healthcare, rural healthcare. I know personally the importance of rural healthcare with my dad, having worked at the Marillac Clinic here, helping underinsured and uninsured people here in Mesa County. When I'm in Congress, I'm going to fight for better rural health care. That's something that will not be done with only one party making the decisions and working. Not just federally qualified health care centers like Marillac, but also critical access hospitals. That's something that we need to be focused on. I've heard concerns about Medicare Advantage not working well in those critical access hospitals. There are some improvements that we may need to make to Medicare to make sure that our rural citizens, our senior citizens, are getting the care that they need. That's something that I'm not going to be able to do on my own. I'm going to need the help of our congressional delegation, which includes Democrats on the other side of the aisle. Thank you.
All right, right under the wire there. All right, now we come to the cross-examination portion of the debate. Each candidate will be given 5 minutes to ask questions of his opponent on matters pertinent to the race or office. And I want to emphasize that. Let's focus on the issues that matter to the office. Please be reminded, there we go. Please be reminded the questions should be pertinent to the office you are running for and should not include any attacking speech or profane language. And I reserve the right to redirect either candidate if their remarks are not pertinent to the elected office. Candidate Firsch will begin the cross-examination. You have 5 minutes.
I'm not a lawyer, but here we go. Jeff, given your past legal work defending big banks, which a bipartisan U.S. Senate committee found guilty of fixing aluminum prices that led to increased costs for consumers, do you plan on releasing a list of your legal clients to be transparent with voters to make sure they understand the possible conflicts of interest you could have running for Congress?
I think it's a little ironic that a Manhattan currency trader is talking about Wall Street. I'll let you pass on that one, Adam. There are legal ethics rules that restrict my ability to do that as any other attorney. I follow the ethics rules.
I'll go back. I fully support a woman's right to make their own reproductive health care decisions. Colorado voters have the opportunity in November to enshrine that right. How will you vote on Amendment 79?
Well, hold on. Let me just finish my question.
I'm sorry. I have the...
Well, I'll let you ask the next question, but if I can just finish it. When I was at Sullivan and Cromwell...
Candidate Hurd finish that question, then we'll go to the next.
Yeah. So I was at Sullivan and Cromwell. My opponent is right. And it was an honor to be there. I'm a small-town kid from western Colorado, and I ended up working at one of the largest and most prestigious law firms in the world. And what I learned there was you can be a small-town kid from western Colorado, but if you stay humble and you work hard, you can succeed anywhere. I was in the Shark Tank in New York City, and I learned to fight against folks that were hostile, and I will do that in Congress as well.
Can you respond to that question?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So now it's back to Candidate Firsch.
The rules seem to have changed, but I'll roll with it. I fully support a woman's right to make their own reproductive health care decisions. No time along 39 weeks is the government, state or federal, going to make a better decision than a woman. Colorado voters have the opportunity in November to enshrine that right. How do you plan on voting on Amendment 79?
Well, I've said consistently that I'm running for federal office, but I would say consistently my view when it comes to the issue of abortion is I'm pro-life with exceptions, but I fundamentally believe that this is an issue that should be left to the states, and I know that
so state politicians should have the... I appreciate you don't want federal politicians overriding the women's health care decisions, but you're okay with the state politicians doing it?
No, I'm clear on my position. I believe that I'm pro-life with exceptions, but I believe this issue should generally be left to the states.
Okay.
The voters of the state of Colorado.
So you support state politicians overriding personal freedoms.
I'm going to
Did you vote for Representative Bober to me in 2022?
I don't talk about who I voted for, but I will tell you that just because
Jeff,
it's a
one of the
just
jobs,
like you don't either.
I think it's my 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, I deserve the right to answer the question, right? I mean, just
I think it's my 5 minutes, and you'll have your
Can-
5 minutes.
Candidate Firsch, please go
Okay.
ahead.
You know, you seem to duck a lot of answering a lot of questions. You do realize one of the big jobs in D.C. is to go and stand, sometimes in television, and actually state what you believe and to be able to defend that. I'm not taking corporate
Yes.
PAC money, no matter what someone else might say, which you are. Many members from both parties have sworn off corporate donations. Do you regret your decision to take corporate PAC money? And how does taking corporate PAC money help families and businesses in CD3 Colorado?
You take corporate money. It doesn't matter that
I
it
do not
doesn't
take
come
any
from a
corporate
PAC.
PAC money.
I mean, I could ask you the same question. When American Airlines, Toyota, and the Motion Picture Association of America fund your campaign,
We do
how
not
does
take
that
any
affect
corporate
things?
PAC money.
You
Okay.
take, yeah, that's right. No, not corporate PAC money, but he takes
Okay, I'll
liberal
go on-
PAC money that comes from corporations.
next.
It's the Taco Bell example. So,
Do you plan to return the money you
6 of
received
one,
from
half a
Bill
dozen of
Owens and
another.
Sean Tonner, who want to pipe SLV water to Denver, reject their endorsements, yes or no? I'm not asking you if you're going to defend the water. I'm asking you if you're going to return the money that Sean Tonner and Governor Bill Owens, which are the leaders of taking the water out of the San Luis Valley to Denver. Yes or no?
Governor Owens and I may not agree on every issue, but I'm proud to have his support. So no, I'm not going to return it. He was reelected with nearly 63% of the statewide vote, which is the second largest
I'll go
governor
on if I
victory
can,
in the
moderator.
state.
I'm sorry.
I'd like to go on. At my prerogative.
Okay.
Okay. A few questions on your lack of ability of interest to show up. Do you not think that the families, business, and communities of CD3 have been ignored enough? Ignored by Denver, ignored by a current representative. I read somewhere that you skipped 6 out of your 7 primary debates because you had scheduling conflicts. What exactly were your scheduling conflicts that kept you getting in the way, even talking to your own voters? From what I can tell, I'll make it 2 parts. You have not had a single event open to the public, not a single event open to the public since the general election. Only closed-door meetings with no notice to the vast majority of voters who are not insiders. Are those decisions made by you or your California-based manager? Why are you so scared talking to the general public?
I've been campaigning for well over a year now. In so many events, I've lost track. I'm right here, though. But Adam, here's what I've learned. Campaigning is not a box-checking exercise. You can have all the money in the world, and you do, and you can travel all across the district, but still lose. You got to be authentic, you got to connect with people, and you
Time,
got to earn their
gentlemen.
trust, and that's what I've tried to do. That's what wins elections,
Time,
not
gentlemen.
checking boxes.
And now, Candidate Hurd, you have 5 minutes to ask questions of Candidate Frisch.
Okay. Adam, you've talked about wanting to go back to pro-normal politics. You say that's benefiting and helping rural Colorado and stopping the circus and angertainment in politics. I think that's something that's appealed to a lot of voters, particularly those here in rural Colorado. And it seemed to be at the core of who you are as a candidate and who you represent and how you will represent our district. If that's the case, why did you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in the Republican primary attacking me and helping one of my opponents?
Thanks for the question and allow it a chance to clarify. We learned very early on that there was going to be a high probability of 2 Republican candidates that were going to be running against yourself and Mr. Hanks. So we decided, because we had some resources, to start working with the same messaging in the primary as we did in the general election. The comments that we made in the primary against Mr. Hanks would have been the exact same comments we would have made if he happened to win the general election, which was that he is too extreme for Colorado. I stand by that now, I stand by it before. We also ran, pushed back against you about hiding, which you have seemed to have done, a continuation of the job, because you keep on turning down even the CMU, Hutchinson's Water Center, to have a candidate conversation. You're not decided to show up
So, Adam,
at
hold
your
on, if
own
I
Grand
could
Junction.
just,
You were able to finish your questions. I
Yeah,
guess I
but-
get the same.
You can't filibuster. I mean, come on. Here's a question. So
Okay.
Jesse Paul, a reporter from the Colorado Sun, had a June 18th, 2024 article titled "Democrat Adam Frisch is running TV ads in 3rd Congressional District GOP primary to boost his chances in November." The subtitle said, "The ads attack Grand Junction attorney Jeff Hurd in a clear call to GOP primary voters in the district to back someone else in the 6-way Republican primary. Someone Adam Frisch believes will be easier to beat in November." Is that accurate reporting?
I think Jesse Paul, with all due respect, was editorializing about why. And when he asked me why, I gave him my answers again.
Did you ever dispute
We
it?
were working on the basis that either Ron Hanks or yourself were going to be the winner of the primary on the Republican side, which we were right, and the exact same messages we were using in the primary against Ron Hanks and against you are exactly what we're talking about right now. You keep on hiding. You didn't show up for 6 of
Did
of
you
your
ask for a
7.
correction?
Pardon?
Did you ask for a correction to his story when he reported that? You're saying it's inaccurate. Did you ever ask for a correction?
No, I go on and just, I take my lumps and go on, and we continue to make our case.
So, Adam,
I
if that
stand
was
by
part of
everything.
your general election campaign, why did you stop airing your attack ad against me after the primary?
Because there was a better case to be made, because you are taking corporate money from people that are trying to steal water from
Like
the
you.
San Luis Valley up to Denver, and we think that's a lot more relevant now, given that there's been a 50-year conversation about how important it is to keep water in Colorado's 3rd Congressional District as opposed to going up and being sucked up by the Denver water users. I'm happy to go on.
Yeah, so,
We also have,
listen, if I just asked the audience, who do you trust here, Adam Frisch, or do you trust Cleve Simpson from the San Luis Valley, who's endorsed me and supports me and knows where I stand on water? Do you trust Adam Frisch or Mark Catlin, Republican, who is the only state water holder in the House of Representatives in the state of Colorado? I've been clear on water. But really quick,
I have
let me
the
just go
utmost
back to
respect for-
the point that Adam's making. Here's what I would just ask for you, audience. Do you believe what Adam Frisch is saying? I think it would be easier if he, and more honest, if he just admitted, yeah, I thought your opponent would be easier to beat, and so I supported him. That's what the outside liberal Democratic group was doing as well, that he joined forces with. I agree with you on the need to return to politics as normal. It's just I'm the only candidate here whose team was not meddling in the other team's primary. And I just think that's worth noting. And I would ask you, audience, do you believe what he's saying? And it gets to my point. He says one thing and does another.
we were very happy to start our campaign early in the general election based on the chance that it was going to be you. And we ran the same ads now, that you keep on skipping opportunities, the League of Women Voters. You skipped your own Grand Junction Chamber of Commerce on Monday. You have another scheduling conflict. Why are you so scared to make sure that people outside of your own small curated group, how come you don't want to talk to them?
This is
Don't
the
you
people
think-
out of my own small curated group right here. I'm here, Adam. I've shown up. I appreciate your advice on telling me how to run my campaign. I'm sure it's sincere and genuine and you want me to win. Listen, I'm going to win this race by being smart and meeting with people and connecting with them. I've been around this district for 10 years.
Did your
so I know people.
consultant tell you that the smart way to run is to hide from as many people as possible in the voters?
Not hiding, Adam. I've been running for more than a year.
Gentlemen, our time for the cross-examination is over. And now each candidate has 3 minutes to present closing remarks, and candidate Firsch will go first.
Okay, thank you, Edie. Thank you all for being here. To Jeff, Barbara, and the family, thank you as well. As Katie and I can attest, it's not easy to balance family and congressional leadership running. Thanks to my family as well for coming, Quinny and Felix and Katie. Listen, I'm not a partisan person no matter what someone says. As I said before, 25 years, I've said if there was a get stuff done party, I'd be in that party. 20 years as an independent. I'm not here to focus on who people vote for the president or the county commissioner. All I'm asking you to think about, who do you want representing you in the halls of Congress that has courage to represent your family and your business and your community? I think we have a real choice in our hands. Again, the choice is not between Team Democrat and Team Republican. It's between who do you want to go to bat for Team CD3 and your family. Club 20 is on Team CD3. I, Adam Frisch, am on Team CD3. How you campaign is how you govern. I've publicly bucked my party on the reckless student loan forgiveness plan, their anti-rule BLM regulations, the backwards decisions to halt American LNG exports. When we shut down Colorado's responsible energy production, we're not getting solar power from Sweden. More emissions, more national security risks, and a much worse job opportunity in western and southern Colorado. Last July, CD3 is finally moving on from 4 years of ineffectual leadership. We do not need to start an era of a different, more harmful type of ineffectual leadership, beholden to others, towing a DC party line, regardless of what party it is, hiding. lacking the courage to stand up for your beliefs, for your district, and for your communities by not talking to anybody. There are clear, serious difference between Jeff and myself. He skipped almost all of his primary debates and relied on hundreds of thousands of dollars of corporate PAC money. I do not take any corporate PAC money. Ask any campaign lawyer to power his campaign, and he's yet to hold a single public event. Instead, he's holding fundraisers with out-of-state politicians and lobbyists. I'm not going to be beholden to anyone, not party leaders, out-of-state politicians, not corporate donors, and certainly not people from Denver that are trying to take the water, renewable water resources, is trying to take the water out of the San Luis Valley. It's been very, very clear about that. Everything that we ran in our ad are factually based up by the Alamosa Courier and has been reported on before. Other sources have called us to double-check everything. We gave them all of our facts, which are available at any time, and no one has come back and said, Adam, you or your campaign was wrong. Showing up is not optional for this job. The difference is clear. I'll say it again. This is not about Team Democrat or Team Republican, it's about Team CD3. I hope to represent you in Congress, and I humbly ask for your vote by November 5th. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Candidate Firsch. Candidate Hurd, your closing statement.
Thank you very much. I want to say one real quick point. It's disappointing that my opponent would try to mislead voters by tying me to every position of a supporter rather than addressing the real issues. If Adam wants to play that game, then he should be ready to answer for every position held by his own supporters. He wouldn't be able to stand that. Really quickly, Club 20, thank you so much for hosting this debate. In my opening, I mentioned the two Colorados, the wealthy part on the Front Range and the other Colorado, rural Colorado. This other Colorado is home. It's the place that raised me. It's where I'm raising my family. I'm running for Congress because we need someone to stand up for our families in this Colorado. There's a clear contrast between me and my opponent. He's an Aspen Democrat working hard to turn control of the United States House of Representatives to Nancy Pelosi, Hakeem Jeffries, and the Democrats. And he's working hard to turn this part of rural Colorado blue. I don't think this is best for our country or for our district. I hope you agree. I'm a problem-solving Republican. I wasn't afraid to take on a tough challenge when I first entered this race more than a year ago. I won't be afraid to fight for you in Congress, and it would be an honor to serve and represent you. My opponent has raised millions of dollars more than I have. You are no doubt going to see them in the ads that are to come. But just remember, when you see those ads, what he says isn't what he does. And at the end of the day, dollars don't vote, people vote. He's already spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to defeat me in my own party's primary. I beat him in that race, and with your vote, I will beat him again. Know that with me, you would get a committed partner for Club 20. I may have grown up here, but I never will pretend to have all of the answers. I'll work hard to be knowledgeable about the key issues, but at the end of the day, I will look to you at Club 20 for advice and input. And I hope that you will lend me your guidance and your expertise. This organization is a terrific model for what discussion and policy making should look like in the West. I have a vision for a better future for Southern and Western Colorado. If elected, I will be hardworking, well-prepared, and a thoughtful representative who believes that rural Colorado's best days are ahead. I will always listen to those I serve, and I will work tirelessly to make sure that families can build good lives in the communities they call home. I would be honored to have your vote. Thank you very much, and may God bless our district, our state, and the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Hurd. I want to thank both Candidate Firsch and Candidate Hurd for being here tonight, for engaging in a spirited dialogue, and for their willingness to serve this district and our country in the U.S. House of Representatives. Let's have one more round of applause for them while Brittany comes back up.